Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. As you can tell from the title, we're talking about steady state rowing today. Big subject in the rowing community. But today we're going to talk about it a little bit differently, and you'll have to let me know in the comments below sort of if you'd like this format that today's vlog will be, or the usual format, or maybe something different, or maybe even a mix up of the two. But first things first, obviously, smoothie, getting finished, getting in the club, getting ready to go on the water, including some rolling out, including some stretching. So we'll see you there.
So they've got their top guy in effect.
Got our lovely outfits on, talking about steady state. Steady state is very important, isn't it?
No.
But now,
as hard as you can.
we'll see you on the water. Steady state is more of a level of intensity, I would say, but it's also very important to gel the crew together, especially when you're in bigger boats. So that's what we're going to be doing today, a little bit of gelling. So we'll get over there. So, gelling together via steady state. So there are many reasons why steady state are important, so we're talking about right now how it affects sort of crews. So if you think steady state, it's usually involving long periods of time, whether it's on the erg or on the water in different boats. When you're in the steady state zone for that long period of time, like Adam Neal, my ex-pair partner, used to say, it's the UT2 blender, if you will, so, or the steady state blender. So you go in, you do 20k, you do 30k, you do 40k, you do hundreds of k together at steady state. You start almost blending together, ironing out those small things that each of you do individually, and then almost become one sort of boat, one rower, one technique, or at least that's the hope. And on top of that, you also, just by doing steady state together, you create that bond that I've spoke about before, especially in an 8. That atmosphere starts to build, to grow, to make so take a life of its own, and you start to learn what works for some guys and what doesn't work for others, and then you start to really sort of eke out that little bit of free speed where at the start of a project, when you've not done a lot of steady state together, especially on the water, it just starts to improve. You get those small little bits that say one guy leans a little bit this way and then the boat sort of leans a little bit that way, or maybe the technique that the coach is asking for is very sort of front end orientated, so by the start of the season you've thought, oh, it's very back ended, so you start working towards that front end, and then it starts to come together, and then you start working on other parts of the stroke that are just for those little bits of speed that at the start of the season may not be sort of things you would work on. And that's because, one of the reasons is because you're that used to being together over sort of steady state, over that mileage, over into that UT2 or steady state blender, you just get used to each other. So hopefully that comes across like I hope it does. And steady state is very, very important, like I said, about gelling together as a crew. But it is obviously also a big thing to do with fitness. Fitness, a lot of people say if you want to get better at rowing, if you want to get fitter for rowing, if you want to improve your 2k score, if you want to improve your 5k, your 6k, your 10k, your hour free rate score, any score on the rowing machine specifically, but also improving that fitness on the water, steady state is king. And why is that? Well, I'll let you know. And how does steady state impact fitness as Rich adjusts his slides? Well,
You just got to pull really hard and then you
There's pizza in my mouth.
when you do steady state, it's usually generally for a long amount of time, a long period of time.
Namaste.
Yeah,
shorter and less
Never
power.
go anywhere.
equals
So when
fitness,
you're
or
going-
longer and more power equals fitness.
So when you're doing a lot of steady state, generally, oh, okay. We'll get to you at another point. Let's get rowing. And now we've made it back onto the water on this rainy afternoon. We've got some rain on the lens there, and as you saw, we're just having a bit of fun pre-session, pre-getting onto our steady state this afternoon. And we're talking about why steady state is important for fitness. Well, like I talked about before, steady state is usually an intensity that you're doing for a long time. So when you do anything for a long period of time, especially when you do it effectively, you will improve. And what does doing steady state improve? Well, it increases your aerobic capacity, and that is essentially the aerobic base, and like the base of your fitness. And if you have a very good aerobic base, then it makes it easier to work on other things up the sort of fitness levels. So say working on, if you have a good aerobic base, pulling your steady state splits, then the other splits become easier, and it also means that you can work on the other parts of your fitness. So say the anaerobic side of your fitness, that when you're going full yam and you're in that anaerobic zone, if you have a better aerobic base by doing loads of steady state, then it should help with the other sort of faster splits as well. But obviously, I'm not saying you should go out and do hundreds of K of steady state, but if you have the time, if you do it properly, if you're speaking with your coach about sort of steady state, should you do it, should you not do it, because obviously everyone is their own individual and everyone has their own things to work on. But if you have all that sort of support around you and you're saying, yes, I need to do steady state, then it should help you. But another big thing about doing steady state that ties into the fact that you're doing it for so long, so we do lots and lots and lots and lots of hours of steady state, it's also a mental game. So imagine sitting doing something for hours a day. Just imagine anything for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours a day. You're going to get better at it, but also, like I said, it's a mental game. If you can focus on that one thing every day, constantly, over and over, you will hopefully, or at least the aim on some programs, is become more mentally strong. Some days that steady state may just feel like, nope, I don't want to do it today. Other days it's going to feel so easy and you're going to blaze right through it. But it is all about that mental capacity as well as that fitness, that aerobic capacity that you're building on the steady state too. And by combining the aerobic fitness, the aerobic base that you're working on with steady state, and combining the sort of mental fitness that you're gaining from doing aerobic or steady state rowing, that will improve your 2K. But it will only improve your 2K if you do all of the training properly. And that's why I say only sort of go into a program when you've spoken to a coach, when you've done some research, when you know you're doing the training consistently and effectively. That's when you can really improve. And maybe that's a whole different topic about doing effective training, but steady state training is awesome, but so are many different types of training. When each type of training is done well and done effectively, that is when you will see improvements. But that will definitely improve your 2K. If you, for example, said, I used to do 5K a week, but now I'm doing 50K a week. If you do that 50K correctly at the right intensity on that steady state with the right technique, my goodness, you're going to see some improvements. So that's why steady state is good for fitness. It's just another thing so you can work on to improve your overall rowing. I think that'll be it for today's video. Like I said at the start, it's a little bit different, and it's always good to sort of experiment with the videos and how they've been done, because remember, variation is a key to motivation. So let me know in the comments below what you think of a little bit of a change of format. And as always, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button and have a good one.